Hello everyone. Today we're going to pick up where we left off roughly. And in the last class or the last video, we had a simple print statement that says Tom says hello, and it's all just one gigantic string. And as the comments below state, double quotes equal single quotes, and so you kind of just have to pick a convention in order to make them work. Today we're going to go a little bit further with this, but I think we'll just work in this file just because we're going to do little bit with strings, and then we'll do a little bit with um, numbers at the end. I'm going to push our play button, or essentially their compile button, I like to call it. Some people call it the build button. But essentially, what is going to happen when I do this? And as you can see here, and I'll try to make this a little larger. I'm trying to go a little bit larger today. Even with the high definition on YouTube, it's still small. So let me play with this just a little bit. And I forgot I got to actually click on the bar. And for those of you at home, sometimes this makes it a little nicer to go with. Let's try that. There, that looks a little bit better. And hopefully I'll just retain that next time it does it. In fact, we can give it a try real quick. Yep, we're good. So, with that being said, now let's talk a little bit about strings. So, most of you know what strings are. It's just a string of characters, but we can do other things with them. So, in other words, let's try to think about strings as, say, a variable. So, in this one it says Tom says hello, but let's say we want to be able to put anybody in there. So in other words, we could say person equals Tom. And again, make sure you pick your conventions correctly. I'm going to put Big Tom there. And this is the nice thing about Python, is that notice what I'm doing here. I'm not declaring anything. Anybody who's used any other programming languages will know that generally you'd have to define this as a string. Python will pick up on that and know that it will be a string. So I'm going to click play again. And to be honest, it's not going to change anything because, one, we haven't used person. Second, we actually haven't changed Tom. So, well, how would we change Tom? Well, let's go in there. And I'm going to put the single quote there because I want to, right after Tom, because I want to take essentially Tom out of this and put person in there. So that it's interchangeable. But this isn't going to be good enough. So I says person says hello. And when I hit run, it's going to give me this error. And don't launch it. I mean, I never see the point in launching something that has errors in it anyways. But actually, let's try this again. Let's do it with a yes. And the reason why is a lot of times, if you've ever used Visual Studio, they'll put the errors down in the left-hand corner. So I was saying, well, I don't see the point of running it. For normal ones, I forgot for a second that Python tends to spit its errors out to the command line prompt. So now it says, it'll tell me line 3, person says hello, something's wrong here. What it knows, invalid syntax. And the reason being is that it's getting messed up. Person isn't inside a quote, a single or a double. Everything else is within these quotes. Because person is a variable, but it says, okay, well then let's just say person's a variable, so it's going to spit Tom out here. But then it says, well, what is all this extra stuff after Tom? And really, all we have to do here is add a plus sign, because plus signs will mean concatenation. And if you forgot this from 188, concatenation is essentially just smashing two strings together. So whatever's in person gets slapped onto this. And notice I put the little space here because it literally will slap it right next to it. So I need to give it a little bit of a space there so it just doesn't say Tom says as one word. And now when I hit attach, it says Tom says hello. But oddly enough, because it's a variable, we can rename, or not rename it, but add something else to it. So now I could type in Sally. And this will give us a different result. So I'm going to go ahead and hit it. And now Sally says hello. The reason why Sally is true is because this is procedural, meaning that it's going to go in order. So it's going to go to Tom first, says person is equal to Tom. Okay, oh, now Sally's here. Sally replaces Tom. Person can only hold one variable. Or one value is probably a better way to put it. It is one variable. So it works well, and it's, for this most part, it's pretty simple. But let's play with this, because the fact that it's a string means that we can massage it a little bit. Because strings, as opposed to other values, actually has characteristics. In a lot of programming languages, they're considered objects, meaning they have properties and you can play with those properties. So in this case, we have person Tom says hello, and or in this, I'm sorry, it's Sally says hello. We can actually do a kind of a couple cool things with this. So let's say we want to shout it. Like Sally says hello. Well, the simplest way to do it is go in here and say print, and then I will do I'm going to say person dot upper, and then put a nice set of parentheses in there. Now let's go ahead and run this. It's going to be self-evident, obviously. Oh, hopefully. And now all of a sudden I'm yelling, Sally says this. What this did was, this upper means change everything to uppercase. So likewise, I could do lowercase. So let's say I'm doing a text message. Now it's then I don't want to capitalize anything, and then Sally says hello. Now can you do that with everything? Let's give it a try. So using that same idea, could you do dot upper here? And let's take a look at this. Sally says hello. So as you can see, even though this is a variable and this is what we call a string literal, meaning it tries to print this out exactly as you typed it, it understands that these quotes hold a string, and therefore we can operate on this string. And so actually I want to make these all upper just because I'm me, and it'll drive me nuts if it doesn't. So now I have all caps. I can do all caps. Okay, so let's do some other fun stuff. I'll pick one more. There's a few in the book, so I'll let you guys play with the rest. They start on I think roughly about page 25, and you can. So what I think I'd like to do is use the title one, because I think this falls in line. But like I said, there's a bunch there. Why don't we hit this play really quick? And so we're shouting everything still. And let's say I like that it's caps, but I might want to turn everything to capitals first. So let's say this is the book title. So let's go ahead and take this out, and let's take this out, and hit play, and see where it says Sally says hello. you'd want this capitalized. Maybe you want just all the first letters capitalized. You can do that. So using that same methodology, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a parentheses around this entire set of strings and then do a dot title. And because Visual Studio understands this, it's got it there, so you can click on that if you want, but I've already typed it out, or tab works. And then the parentheses. The reason there's a parentheses is because you can actually add more stuff or manipulate in a greater way. If we have time, we'll play with that. So now if I go ahead and hit play again, notice now that that S is capitalized. So let's show this, we can take the S, put a small S on Sally and a small H on hello. And you can see that it will capitalize them whether you like it or not, because it's, guess what, a title. So it's just trying to make things easier. So that's kind of, again, the beauty of a scripting as opposed to programming. In programming, you'd probably have to make your own subroutine. So programming languages might not have that dot title. Some do, some don't. But this, because Python is used in a lot of different ways, they have all this host of ways you can operate on things. Okay, so keep this file, and I think we're just going to add to it again in the next one when we start working with numbers.